Hi folks, how you doing? I hope you're keeping well. I'll get the boring stuff out of the way. If you're liking these videos, please like and subscribe. Chances are you're here because you saw my last video about a possible Roman temple near my house. And the whole point of these videos was mainly to talk about the history of the local area, because there's quite a lot. And I've read some of the comments on that video and on Facebook posts regarding that video, and there's quite a bit of like pushback from people who generally scoff and say like, oh, there's no evidence of the Romans around here, don't be so ridiculous, I'm just trying to cause trouble for the developer, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's quite sad actually, because there is quite a lot of historical evidence for the Romans around here. And I think what's happened is over the years, obviously, I mean, education, obviously, people being taught local history and stuff has gone down, underfunded, and people just aren't aware, I think, of just how an important area this was. You know, 2,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. In fact, Shropshire and the surrounding area, we've got some really interesting history, which has kind of been forgotten. And sadly, since the development, Telford, the new town, there's a lot around here that we kind of forget the past and push on with the future, which you should do. We should always look at the future, but we always have to remember the past as well. So the place in question I'm talking about is the 11 miles from Wrekin, which obviously will be 11 miles is a key marker, because obviously that's where the Romans built their forts in between towns and cities, so they could conquer step by step at the time. Nowhere was ever more than like 11 miles from somewhere, so they could half a day's march, they could recruit or retreat if need be. And I've also seen comments there, people saying, well, Roman temples wouldn't have been out in no man's land, they'd have been inside the fort or inside the town. That's just not true. There's plenty of evidence out there online to show that, in fact, in most cases, Roman temples were outside of towns or cities, and they were in particular on the approach to encampments, because the people on their journey would stop at the temple on the way or while leaving, and obviously they would give their blessings for a safe journey and stuff. So this is why it needs investigating, because there is a lot of evidence, and I'm not just making this up, as people have said, just to cause trouble for a developer. Anyway, take from what you will. But this is a start of a series of videos where I'm going to talk about the local history, and we're going to kick off with this. So I hope you enjoy. Hi folks, how you doing? I hope you're keeping well. Yeah, some of you probably saw my video regarding the Roman temple, and you probably already know this, but obviously I'm mad keen on history, if the metal detecting didn't give it away. Because of living in this area, Roman occupation of Britain has always been on my mind, and I know it's like a bit of a cliche. How many times do you think about the Roman Empire? But no, where I live in Telford, there's quite a few Roman ruins. Not too far away from where I live, Wrekin, Vericonium, I believe is the Roman name, was one of the biggest Roman cities in the country. So from a young age, you go to school, you get drummed into you that the Romans were around here, and most of our houses around here still to this day lie either on or very near Roman roads. So yeah, Roman Britain is alive and well. But anyway, because of that video, I wanted to start talking more about history and the local history and the things I'm really interested in. And to start with, I thought the focal point of the local area, so it transcends tribes and religion and history, because for probably millions of years, and I will go into the geology at some point, but that's way beyond me. This hill, this Shropshire's mountain has been there, and that's the Wrekin. Yeah, the Wrekin, Shropshire's mountain. It's 1,335 feet, I believe, and as a kid growing up, we were told that if it was over 1,000 feet, it was a mountain. I'm pretty sure that's not true, but yeah, it's Shropshire's mountain. Anyway, the Wrekin has a human history that dates back beyond the Iron Age, and there's archaeological. Get my words out there, Roscoe. There's archaeological evidence that suggests that a small cluster of round houses were burnt down at around 450 BC, and main occupation appears to be in the 400 years leading up into the Roman invasion. Now, I'm going to get this wrong, okay, and I apologise for my ancestors, yes. But the Wrekin was a principal hill fort for the Celtic Cornovi tribe. That's Cornovii, Cornovi. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, and I apologise. agricultural people who farmed around the Severn Valley rather than being confined to the hill fort. The hill fort may only have been occupied seasonally or at times of great danger or for ceremonial purposes. I don't really think anyone truly knows, and obviously so it's open to all kinds of different interpretation, and as we see with things like Stonehenge and stuff, people over the years, one thing it's this, one thing it's that. No, do we ever really know? We will probably never really know, but it lends itself to telling good stories, and I think half of history is storytelling, and tales passed down from campfire to campfire, generation to generation, and the Wrekin being the focal point of my area, it's just rich with that human storytelling. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, we'll get back to the Romans. And the Romans arrived in the UK in AD 43, and I'm going to get this wrong too. Legio the 14th, Gemina Matricia Victrix, was one of the 4 legions used by Aurelius, Plautius and Claudius in the Roman invasion of Britain in AD 43. I've probably absolutely butchered that, and I apologise. And in AD 47, the same legion, the Legio 14th Gemina of the Roman army, arrived in the area, and yet there's no evidence of a pitched battle around the Wrekin. So the Romans rocked up, as the Romans did all across Europe, North Africa, and pretty much everywhere they went like ants. They rocked up en masse. They rocked up, I imagine, peacocking with their uniforms. And I can only presume, because there's no pitched battle, that our lot, we bent the knee. And we went, yeah, it's cake or death, isn't it? We'll take the cake. Thanks very much.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not.
There is evidence from other places around Britain of where there has been pitched battles, and they found Roman spearheads and the little Roman ballistic catapult slingshot bullets. They're like rugby ball shaped, made of lead. I don't know if you ever watched the videos of them being, oh my days, they're like bullets, ancient artillery essentially. They'd sling these things and they would whoosh as they left the catapult.
There we are. Sorry about this, Fred. 1, 2, 3. Don't say it.
The writing's on the wall?
Along with the rest of it.
Bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah, these things, were brutal, and obviously Roman spears and everything else. You can imagine if our lot, if we'd hunkered down on top of the Wrekin to defend ourselves, the Romans would have unleashed hell, wouldn't they? And the fact that there isn't that, the evidence of that, can only imagine that, yeah, we took the gold.
O aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
Essentially believed then that the Romans left the Cornovi tribe to their own devices. Basically, you pay your taxes and we'll leave you in peace kind of thing. So the Romans essentially didn't really start developing this area, it's believed, until AD 58. So that's that's a good almost 11 years after they first rocked up, throwing their weight around, until they actually started going, no, we think we're going to control this ourselves now. Yeah, so after the Cornovi tribe bent the knee, essentially, the Romans, they built a fortress at Mansetta on Watling Street, and by AD 58, they had moved their base to Wroxeter. So, but by AD 58, they were in this area, and they had Wroxeter up and running. And for a bit of historical context, I know this is probably getting confusing. The legion I mentioned, the 14th Legion, we'll just refer to it as the 14th Legion from now on. That was the same legion that took part and defeated Boudicca's forces at the Battle of Watling Street in AD 60, AD 61-ish. So basically, the Roman forces that rocked up in Shropshire, who made our ancestors bend the knee and then built Wroxeter, were the same forces a few years later that went and defeated Boudicca. And obviously, most people who are interested in Roman history in Britain know who Boudicca is, or Boadicea, or however you want to pronounce it. Again, that's probably another video in itself. And I want to touch back on the fact that obviously the tribe bent the knee, because I know some people go, oh, we need to fight and, you know, we should defend our lands and all this kind of thing. But I want everyone to remember that by this point, people were trading all around Europe. There would have already been places in the south of Britain that had faced the Roman army and stood their ground and were absolutely massacred. And we have historical, archaeological evidence of this. So word would have spread. People would have known. The tribal elders and leaders would have known that if these men with red shields, you know, and olive oil rock up in your area, take heed, my friend, take heed. So I think it's easy for us looking back to go, yes, we'd fight this invasion army to the death. But in most cases, for anyone who did fight the Roman army, it was death. And everyone knew it was death. So hopefully that's covered the first part of the Romans getting to Shropshire, the Wrekin, Telford, Mercia in general, I suppose. Or the capital of Mercia. That's up for debate too. Anyway, yeah, so this is, I suppose, early Shropshire history and the Romans, and we will go on from there. But I'm hoping that if you're a local, if you're interested in Roman history, and if you see my latest video where we think we might have a Roman temple in a field not too far away from my house, then hopefully this has interested you a bit further to see why I think there probably is a Roman temple there, or at least why I think there's enough evidence to suggest that a proper dig should be undertaken, that when you find something like that in a field with Roman history around, you take it seriously and not build houses on it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and in the next video hopefully I'm going to cover basically the creation of Wrekin, the Roman city that at one point was one of the largest Roman cities in Britain. And for context, at its peak, Wrekin had a population of 15,000 people. Londinium at the time is estimated to have had 30,000 people. That made Wrekin a pretty big city, smack bang in the middle of Britain, somewhere to the east of the Welsh Mountains. It's an interesting place to build your fort. Or is it?